wanted to do something completely different on my channel today from anything that I've ever done before. I've been wanting to use this palette from Storybook Cosmetics that I got off of Poshmark. I will put a link here to the makeup that I've gotten from Poshmark, and because I'll have a little, like a playlist of that. But I wanted to start a different little playlist along with it because, well, with this palette, I guess. You know, I was like, are people going to be interested in seeing me do a look with this palette? It's not like it's a new palette, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, you know what? I've always been very intrigued by how some fairy tales came to be. Like, let's be real, there's some really weird ones. And freaky. I would say freaky. And so I was like, you know what? What if we make a little series here called Fairytale Freakout? Because I thought, you know what? That way I can incorporate it with using my Storybook Cosmetics palette, and it'll be a fun little kind of story time. So that is what we're going to do. I would first like to point out, because it's driving me crazy, that I have some crazy texture going on this part of my face. And I think it's from having to wear a mask to work. I don't know what's happening, but it's doing really weird things to me. So that's fun. But so basically they had nothing to do with anything, but it's something I'm self-conscious about right now. So, you know, when you're self-conscious about something, you have to point it out so that people know you know. Like, don't think I don't know that this is here. Like, I know. You know what I'm trying to say? I know you know. We all do it, I think. I'm pretty sure. Please tell me we all do it. Okay, so we are going to go ahead, and I'm not going to talk about like what I'm doing here. I'm just going to do the makeup while I tell you the story. And I think I probably am going to put in the title what the story is that I'm going to be talking about. So you may already know that it is Hansel and Gretel. Now, I did just get my information from Wikipedia, so I didn't go like super in-depth or anything, but I took like 2.5 full pages in my notebook here writing stuff down so that I would have some good info for you guys. So basically, whoa, the kick up in this palette. Okay, doesn't really matter, but so Hansel and Gretel blah, blah, is a German fairy tale, or you know, it was by the brothers Grimm. And they are Jacob and Wilhelm were their names. And this lovely little story was published in 1812. It's kind of a long time ago. And it was about a young brother and sister in medieval Germany, is where the premise of the story takes off. So basically, there was a famine in the land, and people were starting to starve. And so Hansel and Gretel's father was a woodcutter, and they had a stepmother, and she told their father, we need to take the children out into the woods and leave them there to fend for themselves because we're going to starve if we don't. We need to get rid of them because we can't afford to feed them and us, or we don't have enough food for them and us. Well, their father didn't want to do it, but after some prodding, their father agreed with her that that would be their best choice. Excuse me? Like, who are you, sir? So, one day, the father took the children. Well, no, so the kids overheard this, though. So, Hansel and Gretel both overheard that this was the plan that was coming for them. And so, they decided, no way, like, this can't happen, right? So once the parents went to bed at night, Hansel snuck out of the house and he collected as many pebbles as he could. And he took them back to his room and he assured Gretel that everything was going to be okay and not to worry, like they would be all right. So the next day, they followed their father out deep into the woods and didn't let on that they knew, you know, what was going on. And so he led them way out deep into the woods, but Hansel was leaving behind a trail of these little pebbles. So once they got out there, the father started a fire, and then he told the kids that he was going to collect some more firewood. Well, after a while, it became apparent that he was not coming back. And Gretel was really upset and crying, and Hansel was consoling her that it was going to be okay, not to worry. And they waited until nightfall. And by the light of the moon on the shiny pebbles, they followed it back to the house. And they made it there by morning. And when their father opened the door, he was so happy because he never wanted to leave them out there in the first place. So he was so happy they were home. Now, some time passes and another famine comes, I guess. And once again, the stepmother is urging their father that we need to rid ourselves of these children. Basically, we need to send them off to fend for themselves in the woods because we are not going to be able to survive if we keep them here with us. And so, this time, she locks the children in their bedroom, so Hansel does not have the opportunity to go out and collect pebbles. But he's a very smart young man, and so he takes the piece of bread that he was given to eat, and instead of eating it, he crumbles it into little pieces into his pocket so that he can leave a trail of breadcrumbs. So now the children are led deep into the woods once again. And Hansel is leaving his trail of breadcrumbs behind them as they go. But what he doesn't realize is that the birds are going behind and eating all the crumbs that he's leaving. So his trail to find their way back home is being destroyed by these birds. So they're left out in the woods and discover that their trail is gone. And so they begin wandering, trying to find their way back home with no sense of direction of where that is. And as they're doing that, they come upon a house that is made of cakes and bread and sugar and just all things yummy. And of course, by now, the children are starving. They're so hungry. And so they go up to this house and they start just eating from the house. So as they are there filling their bellies, this sweet little old woman comes out of the house and tells them, please come in, I'll feed you a meal. Like, you don't have to be hungry and eat off of this house. You can come in and have a nice meal. I'm making that part. I mean, I'm not. That's part of the story, but I'm sort of, I'm paraphrasing. I'm making it my own. What they don't realize is she is a witch, but she's masquerading as this nice old lady. And I don't know about you, but I know some old ladies who aren't very nice. So now I'm kind of wondering if they're witches and they're just not doing a very good job of disguising it. Who knows? So the children go inside and they have a meal in the nice warm home of this woman. And everything is seeming great at first until they quickly realize that she's not letting them leave. And so Hansel and Gretel basically become her little slaves. She makes them do chores for her, and all the while she keeps feeding them really, really well so that she's fattening them up and just, preparing them for something. I think you know what it is. And so the day finally comes when, now by this point she's keeping them like in a cage, so they're, really getting the gist that things are not good, right? They cannot leave and whatever. So the day comes when the witch decides they are fat enough for her to make a meal out of, like their prime goods now. And so she tells Gretel to start a fire in the oven, start it up, to start a pot of water boiling. What Gretel doesn't know is the witch is having her start this, pot of water to boil because she plans to put Hansel in it. And so Gretel starts the oven and puts the water on. And after a little while, the witch tells her she wants her to climb into the oven to check and see if it's warm enough to bake bread. Well, now Gretel is realizing what this witch is up to, what her plan is here. And so she plays dumb. She acts like she doesn't understand what it is that the witch is asking of her. So the witch gets more and more irritated because Gretel's not doing what she asked her to. She's acting like she has no idea what this witch is wanting of her. And so infuriated, the witch heads over to the oven and climbs in to show her, this is what I want you to do. She's not too smart, is she? Kids are crafty. Kids are smart. Kids will outsmart you. If you're a parent, you know they'll outsmart you. I mean, I hope your kids aren't trying to put you in an oven, but you shouldn't be trying to put them in one either. So I guess that's the, that wouldn't be a likely story anyway. But yeah, kids will outsmart you. Like, they know sometimes, like, you think you're being smart and crafty and like, kids, we got you. They got your number. They know what's up. So, I don't like what I just did right there. So, we're gonna fix that, somehow. I was really excited about that shade, but it didn't quite do what I was hoping. So, they put her in the oven, or well, no, Gretel shuts her in the oven and, thinks something along the lines of wanting her to, burn to ashes or something like that. And she frees Hansel from his cage so that they can free themselves from her home. And when they are doing that, they discover that the witch has this vase, if you will, filled with precious jewels and stones. And so they fill their pockets with these precious jewels and stones, and they head out to try to find their way home. And eventually they make their way there. I'm not really sure how. I don't know why they couldn't do that before, but whatever. And, I mean, then the fairy tale wouldn't work, right? I mean, are you like me? Like, I'm a total skeptic. Like, with movies and stuff, I look back and I'm like, that doesn't make sense because of this or this. And my husband will be like, how do you notice stuff like that? But you're right. And I'm like, I shouldn't say it out loud, though, because I kind of ruin things sometimes. So I'm like, that's impossible. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're right. I don't know what it is. But, I mean, because up until this point, everything was realistic with the house made of bread and cake and stuff. Like, I was with this story until the kids made their way home that second time. I mean, now it's just not believable anymore. Kind of ridiculous. So, the kids make their way home. Their father opens the door to them and is so overjoyed to see them because he hasn't had, I have that glitter everywhere. How did that even happen? He has not had a happy day in his life since he left the children out in the woods. Well, duh. Like, you left your children out in the woods to fend for themselves because you decided to listen to your psycho your psycho wife. And, like, of course you're not happy. Like, how could you be? If you were, you're already a monster because you listened to her and left your kids out there. Wow, guys, this palette is making a disaster on me, if you can't already tell. So this is fun. It's like a, fairy tale nightmare and also nightmare on my face. But yeah, so, duh, dude. Of course you haven't had a happy day since your kids left because you hopefully have been sitting thinking about what a disgusting parent you are. And what a loser you are to listen to this woman over taking care of your children. I'm just saying, you're going to tell like it is. Well, the kids now discover, oh yeah, glittery all over. I don't usually do, lately I have been, for the sake of videos, putting foundation on before, my face makeup on before my eyes, but I don't do that on a normal day, so that keeps this from happening, but that's okay. I'm not going anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. And, so yeah, the kids end up finding out that their stepmother has died. Doesn't really say how, but I don't really feel that bad for her. I don't know about you guys, but not feeling sorry for that stepmother. Nope. And, so the kids show their father that they have all of these jewels because they stole them from this witch who had kept them all this time and tried to kill them. And I wonder, when they showed up at the door all chubby and stuff, what the father was thinking, because, like, what, it was a famine and nobody had enough food to eat and you left your kids out in the woods to starve and they show up all chubby like? What's going on there? Like, what was he thinking? I don't know. And so they now have all of the, you know, these riches from what they stole from the witch. And so they can just live, yep, happily ever after. Like, we all know how that goes, right? So, yeah, pretty screwed up story, right? Like, why is this called a, like, fairy tales have come a long way, you know, like, which, if you enjoyed this, I would be happy to do more of these in the future. Let me give you a little more background about this story. I'm going to turn my page. I have been doing pretty good. I didn't even have to look at notes. Like, I pretty much know the story, but, you know. So, the Brothers Grimm first heard the story from Wilhelm's friend, who eventually became his wife. Look at that. He was so enamored by her telling of really delightful stories that he decided to marry her. And in their original version, the woodcutter's wife was the children's biological mother. However, by the 5th edition, she became their stepmother, because that adds a much seedier, you know, little twist to the story. Because, you know, you have to have the evil stepmother from, you know, these books. And so they're thinking the fairy tale may have originated in the medieval period of the Great Famine, because during that time, people abandoned their young children and sometimes even turned to cannibalism. What? So you ate your children? Okay, I mean, I guess maybe leaving them in the woods is a better option, right? Yikes. So, the fact that the stepmother dies after the children have killed the witch causes a lot of, like, you know, commentators or those type of people, commenters, I don't know, to think that they are, like, metaphorically the same woman, you know, the stepmother and the witch, because basically the stepmother is a witch, because who wants their husband to send their children out into the woods to die? Like, who does that? You are not a normal human being. You're something. Yeah, no, nope. So there are actually Russian, French, and Hungarian forms of this tale, which I find to be interesting. Some written before, you know, the Brothers Grimm published this. So, I mean, obviously his, you know, Wilhelm's friend told them the story, and she ended up becoming his wife. I still think that's hilarious. Like, you bring such a positive light into my life with these stories you tell. Will you marry me? I don't know, just seems weird. But, yeah, so obviously this had, you know, there were stories of this in other places as well. So, like, and some being, it's like little pieces came from different places, like, or, you know, different stories. Like, there'd be, in a story, there'd be, like, a house made of sweets or whatever. And then, you know, there was one that was about, like, someone who sent their daughter, like, the stepmother sent their daughter or something out to see her sister, who actually was a witch. And then, like, there was something with cannibalism. So it took, you know, from different places, kind of, like, different stories kind of melded together to create this story. And, like, even there's different versions of Hansel and Gretel, because there's one, I guess, where, like, they ride a swan or something across water. I don't know. But there's, like, different versions. And like you said, in the beginning, it was the children's biological mother. So, like, the woodcutter's wife was their actual mom. And then by the 5th edition, it became their stepmom. So, you know, you gotta keep twisting the tail. Keep it interesting. And so that was what they did. So let me get some lip stuff to put on, and we'll wrap up. I just put on some ColourPop Just a Tint and Cherry Pickin'. It's on their lip crayons. So like this, which I love the look of. I love the feel of. Hate the smell of. Jessica Braun equated it to cat pee, and I'm kind of with her on that. I think it's almost like there is a mango or tropical like gum that smells the same way, and like when people are chewing it, I'm like, you smell like cat pee is coming out of your mouth. I don't know what it is, but it's that same type of smell. So if it didn't have that smell, I would like it, because the smell does linger for a while, and that bothers me, so I don't usually wear it because I'm self-conscious about it. But anyway, that's a little side note for you. But this, I'm bummed. I wish they would change whatever that is that makes that smell, because I love the formula of these and whatever. But all right, so I just used, I'll just show you the colors I used. I won't really explain stuff, but I basically used this one, this one, this one. I used this one and I didn't like what it did, so I put over top of it this. I put a little bit of that at the outer edges too, and that like is what I deepened with and stuff, and ran that under the lash line and stuff too, and used this on the inner corner. And so that was my look with that, and I'll come up close so you can see all the fallout. It'll be great. So I actually do think the look turned out very pretty. I would do it before my foundation though, so I don't have, you know, glitteries all over my face, because I don't necessarily like that. But I do actually really like how the look turned out. So that worked out, even though I thought it was going to be a disaster. So you guys let me know what you think of this little story time, this little Fairytale Freakout, because there are plenty more like fairy tale type things that are really creepy. And I would be happy to do another version of this with some different stories and use some different colors. So you guys let me know what you thought, and if you enjoyed it, and what you think of the look, the story, all that good stuff. And if you would like to see more of these, I had a lot of fun doing it, and so I find it very interesting. Like, seriously, these are stories we tell children. I mean, not so much some of these old ones anymore, but I mean, I remember it from being a kid, so if somebody told it to me, what kind of creepy parents do I got? I think it was my mom. My mom would tell me some weird stuff like that. My dad is a total like jokester. He would like mess with you. He is the kind of person who, when I was going to get my wisdom teeth pulled, he doesn't do things like to soothe you and make you feel better. He does everything by joking. And so he does like weird, like Grimm. He could be one of the brothers Grimm. He would do like, so I'm having my wisdom teeth pulled. I'm like freaking out because I'm not being put under for it. And he was like, it's no big deal. Like, if they're having a hard time, they just get on top, they put their knee in your chest and they just crank at it until they get it out and stuff. And so then he'd get you laughing, you know, and that's his form of like easing your nerves. But so yeah, he could have told me the freaky stories too. Who knows? But somebody did. So thanks to whoever that was. But yeah, so this was really fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. And I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.